Okay, my name is Hayden Janner. This is discussion board video 2. There are many effects of war. Social and political are definitely the ones that are most talked about, but war also has a big effect on art, amongst other things. And World War I was something that had many effects and pretty big effects on some of the art that we talked about in Unit 2. One of the effects I want to talk about is photography, specifically the effect on Dada and Surrealist photography. The point or goal of this kind of photography is that once you create a new, they wanted to create a new kind of art that was able to reflect the chaos and, absurdities that kind of went on in modern life during the time. The style of photography was really valued for its conceptual properties, not necessarily the aesthetic of it. There's kind of a subcategory in this photography that is known as photo montage. This is where artists will use scissors and glue to kind of cut up photographs and put them together to further emphasize a point or to make a better point or just to really get a point across while using kind of a collage art style. An example of photo montage being used during the Dada and Surrealist photography time is something called Cut with the Kitchen Knife Through the Last Weimar Beer Belly Cultural Epic in Germany, which was made in 1919 through 1920 by Hannah Hoch. She used photo montage, which was able to allow her to really emphasize her point or the political statement she was trying to make, and this was really considered innovative during its time. The work kind of shows, the top is the pro-Dada things, and at the bottom has anti-Dada or other way around or something. It just has both viewpoints and then a bunch of things in the middle, but it's all in a collage together in one work, so it really kind of ties everything together and really proves the point that she was trying to make. Another significant way that World War I impacted art movements was that it slowed the progression of art down. A really good example of this that I found was the Art Deco movement. At the end of the 1800s, France was looking to go into the new century with innovation and new ideas and just a change instead of kind of being stuck in the 1800s and not really changing anything. There was a group formed called the Society of Decorative Arts, and they wanted to challenge the structure of visual arts that relegated decorative artists to a lesser status than the more classical painting and sculpture media. The Society of Decorative Arts was wanting to hold a really big exhibition to introduce Art Deco to the world in a way in 1914. Obviously, with World War I starting in 1914, they had to push that back. And because of those, 4 years and all the repercussions and all the stuff that happened after, they actually didn't get to have this exhibition until 1925, which was over a decade later. So World War I, the time it happened in and the time it was following, it really slowed people down because there's other priorities than just artwork that was going to be looked at or something like that. There's just other priorities, so people had to put stuff like that on hold. Even artists had to put things on hold, such as Rossolo or Marinetti from the Futurism movement. They actually volunteered to join the army, as did many other artists who actually had to just stop their art completely to go join the army, or just put it on hold for a super long time if they even managed to get back to it. Their focus was now on fighting instead of painting. So that was a really big effect. And then the last one is that with World War I kind of quickly becoming the topic on everybody's minds and the forefront of everything, on the newspapers and all that, there was little focus on other things, such as day-to-day activities or jobs, because everyone, is scared of the possibilities of the war, anything that could happen at any given time. It was just fear. And so because of this fear, war and violence quickly became an inspiration and topic for artists that continued to work during this time. a good example of war and violence kind of taking center stage would be the charge of the Lancers in 1950 from Boccioni. And typically in his works, Boccioni would use horses to kind of symbolize work. But in this painting in particular, the horse that is in it symbolizes war and strength, while it fights off what is believed to be German bayonets. It's easy to understand how war and violence would take over kind of art and take over somebody's mind to just, that's all they can really think about. So obviously it had a huge effect because it completely shifted some people's focus in their art style from, a horse meaning work to a horse now meaning strength and war and violence and something like that. This isn't really an effect. It's just something else I noticed when I was looking at the artworks I used as examples is there's a lot of muted colors, like in the two specifically that I pulled. It's a lot of browns and blacks and very dark muted colors. There's no bright yellow and orange, bright orange or red and pink, super bright, happy looking colors. It's very muted and serious and dark and violent. It's just something I noticed. In conclusion, World War I obviously had many effects on people and the things that they did all around the world, hence World War. And one of the things that's not really talked about when you talk about the World Wars is art and the effects. And, there's obviously more effects that it had than just the three I named, but the three I named I think are super important because, in my opinion, I don't think the art we have today would be the art we have today without these specific effects that were had. Progression being slowed down or the focus shifting, if there wasn't World War I don't think those things would have necessarily happened because there would have been no reason for them to. So my questions are, do y'all think that tragedy such as World War I tends to put more passion behind art and why it's created? And do y'all think art would be the same without things such as World War I, and how might it be different? Thank you.